What do you want to be when you're older? An astronaut? A baller? It's a question that you probably would have been asked when you were younger, as it gave you this feeling of hope for the future. Now, let's fast forward to the present and portray the reality of a lot of people's lives. Because many are trying to escape reality, turning to heavy substance abuse with alcohol, drugs, and getting lost into the rabbit hole of the online world to try and cope with the mundanity of life. And this is causing a rise in depression that you would not believe. And I'm not even exaggerating. This is especially true if you're in a first world country, because the default lifestyle design that is laid out for most people when they enter adulthood is quite dystopian in comparison to the sort of carefree lifestyle that you probably would have experienced as a child or even at university. And those who are between the ages of 25 and 35, basically the age where you're considered a fully grown adult, you realize the financial pressures, the long working hours, the job insecurities, the existential crises, the constant social comparison, as well as the social pressure to hit the milestones that you're expected to hit, like getting married and having kids. And it slowly dawns on them the potential that they thought they once had, which was reinforced by their family members and peers, fails to match the reality of their current situation. And I'll quickly go into my backstory and to the reasons as to why I made this video in the first place. So during family gatherings, I would often be labeled as the golden child, because I had everything going for me on paper, because I was an only child, decently smart, independent, and had this quote-unquote potential that a lot of other people saw. And I don't want this to come across as being snobbish or complaining, but I always found this a bit strange, how other people end up reducing each individual to a particular label, which ironically ends up limiting one's potential. And I'm going to be honest, I did not want to have any sort of label on my back, even if it was true. I just feel like it limits the amount of freedom that you can have on a more psychological level, if that makes any sense. But it is interesting, isn't it? How people are quick to jump on the bandwagon for those who seem to look like they have potential. And it's because we live in a world where success and one's potential is seen as a golden ticket. And this concept of potential is further reinforced by movies such as Harry Potter and Spider-Man, where the audience is bombarded with stories of the quote-unquote golden child or the underdog who eventually comes out on top. And it's also not to mention the overflow of attention that society puts on such individuals, all for what they quote-unquote could achieve. And that throw of recognition and approval can be addicting to many people, because of course it feels good to be seen and acknowledged for the potential that you could be. But when you really boil it down, what even is potential? It's a possibility. It's an abstract concept, and on its own, potential does not guarantee success. And it's so easy for an individual who has been told all his life that he has the potential to be something, only to get complacent and disregard the efforts that it actually takes to reach that potential. And days turn into months and months into years. And before the individual realizes, they've missed the window of opportunity to act, and the world has already moved on to the next potential star. And it's actually a harsh reality, as these individuals realize too late and are only left with regret and self-doubt due to unfulfilled promises and expectations. But here's the thing, right? Even if you did everything perfectly by the book, and you dedicated yourself to a particular craft, there's still that possibility that you may not live up to your potential. And I'm here to tell you that it's okay, you're good, because there's a lot in life that both me and you cannot control in life. And by the way, this doesn't mean giving up on chasing your dreams, but rather letting go of the expectations that the external world has placed on you, and instead finding genuine joy in the journey itself. And I understand that this sounds like one of those cliches, but it's the truth. And it's something which I've also realized, which is the reason why I'm making this video. Because you inevitably end up achieving something far more valuable than just meeting some societal expectation of a potential. And that is peace and being content and truly happy with oneself, which in my opinion trumps the societally inflicted potential, which ends up feeling anticlimactic anyways. But this also doesn't mean that you shouldn't be aiming to close that gap and trying to achieve your version of potential. And that's the key of it. And the way to do that is by breaking down your larger aspirational goals and turning it into smaller manageable steps. Ideally, you would want to do a daily task list. In theory, it's that simple, but in practice, because of all the distractions that we have nowadays, it's just difficult to stay on track. And when it comes to achieving success and reaching your full potential, grit is often considered one of the most important factors. And most people will tell you to work hard, and I put that in quotation marks. And it's a video I would be making in the future as to the reasons as to why I don't completely agree with this message, and the whole discussion between hard work versus talent. But with grit, it's more so about working on something that you truly care about, and actually staying loyal to that particular endeavor. And here's the thing, you're supposed to fail a lot, and it's not an easy cakewalk to the finish line, like a lot of people would assume. And your environment can predetermine and facilitate the mindset that you have, which affects the level of grit that you have at that given moment. And if your environment breeds a certain type of mentality where you know for a fact that you're going to stagnate, then in my honest opinion, you probably will have to bite the bullet and go at it alone for a certain small or extended period of time. Then at that moment, you can actually find your people and achieve your version of potential. Feel free to check out the videos popping up on the screen, and I appreciate you watching.